3 words, 140 years old. Still the most provocative thing anyone has ever said in the history of Western philosophy. God is dead. Atheists quote them as a victory. Believers quote them as an outrage. Philosophers quote them without reading what comes before and after. And almost everyone, on every side of every debate about these 3 words, has misunderstood them completely. Because Nietzsche was not making a theological statement. He was not celebrating. He was not attacking your faith. He was not declaring the triumph of science over religion. There's nothing triumphal about what Nietzsche is saying here. What he's pointing to is what he thinks is a historical fact. European society is no longer as dependent upon religion as it once was. He was making a diagnosis about a specific collapse, and about what that collapse produces in the people who live through it, whether they recognize it as happening or not. That diagnosis is more accurate today than it was in 1882. And by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why. First, the actual text, the full parable, not the 3 words, the story. In 1882, Nietzsche published The Gay Science. In section 125, he wrote a short parable called The Madman. A madman lit a lantern in the bright morning hours, ran to the marketplace, and cried incessantly, "I am looking for God! I am looking for God!" As many of those who did not believe in God were standing together there, he excited considerable laughter. The crowd mocked him. They were atheists. They had already rejected God. What was this lunatic searching for? And then the madman turned on them, not with triumph, with alarm. "Whither is God? I will tell you. We have killed him. You and I. All of us are his murderers." And then he asked a series of questions that most people who quote the 3 words never reach. Is there still any up or down? Are we not straying as through an infinite nothing? Do we not feel the breath of empty space? Has it not become colder? Is not night continually closing in on us? The madman was not celebrating. He was horrified. He was describing the specific experience of a world in which the old source of meaning has been removed, and nothing has yet arrived to replace it. And here is the detail that changes everything. The villagers simply stared at the madman in silence. Seeing this, the madman smashed his lantern and said that he had come too early, because the people have yet to grasp the implications. He came too early. The news had not yet arrived. The crowd had rejected God, but they had not yet understood what that rejection cost them. That is the parable. That is what Nietzsche actually wrote. Now let's examine what he actually meant, what Nietzsche was actually diagnosing. When Nietzsche writes, "God is dead," he does not literally mean that God has died. Rather, he means that the idea of God, and by extension Judeo-Christian morality and even the idea of morality, have been destroyed by humanity's scientific, cultural, and philosophical development. He was observing a historical process. The Enlightenment had undermined the theological foundations of Western civilization. Science had provided alternative explanations for phenomena that religion had previously made sense of. Reason had become the new authority. And in that process, something else had been removed that most people had not noticed losing. Not just God. The entire framework that God had anchored. The answer to, why does my life matter? The answer to, what am I supposed to do with the suffering that arrives without explanation? The answer to, what is the difference between right and wrong when the authority behind those categories has been removed? These are not trivial questions. They are the questions on which an entire civilization had been building its psychological architecture for 2,000 years. To kill God in this broader sense is not just to do away with the mythos of Christianity. In throwing out the bathwater called God, we are also casting out our epistemic certainty and the grounding of truth. We are losing solid ground. That is what Nietzsche meant by God is dead, not a theological claim, a structural one. The load-bearing wall of Western meaning has been removed, and most people, including the atheists laughing at the madman in the marketplace, have not yet understood what that removal costs them. Why he said W.E. killed God. This is the part that most people skip past, and it is the most disturbing part. Nietzsche did not say science killed God. He did not say the Enlightenment killed God. He did not say atheists killed God. He said, we killed him. You and I. In theory, the Enlightenment may have killed God, But Nietzsche observed that most people continued to live their lives as though nothing had changed. They clung to outdated ideals and conventional morals, oblivious to the full ramifications of a world without God. The killing was not a dramatic event. It was a slow erosion. The gradual decline of genuine engagement with the meaning structures that religion provided. The replacement of deep commitment with surface performance. The cultural drift from belief to habit to indifference, so gradual that most people never identified the moment it happened. We killed him, not through a deliberate rejection, through 1,000 small acts of substitution, of replacement, of filling the space that genuine meaning occupied with things that looked similar from a distance and felt hollow up close. You have felt this. You know exactly what it feels like. The specific flatness of a life that is comfortable and successful and going according to plan, and still somehow insufficient. The specific anxiety of a Sunday evening when nothing is wrong and nothing feels quite right. The specific exhaustion of performing a version of yourself that is well constructed and sincerely presented and still not quite real. That is the void the madman was describing, not the absence of God specifically. The absence of the framework that gave the ordinary moments of an ordinary life their weight and their direction. The crowd that did not understand the madman. Here is the detail in the parable that Nietzsche considered most important. The madman is a representation of Nietzsche himself. He is a madman because he holds views and opinions that are far removed from those of common people, atheists included. The beginning of the parable explains that the villagers standing in the market are common atheists who scoff at and mock the madman for his frantic search for God. The crowd was not religious. They had already rejected God. They were laughing at the madman's alarm because they considered the matter settled. What they had not understood, what Nietzsche spent his career trying to make them understand, is that rejecting God while retaining the moral framework that God had grounded was an incoherent position. The villagers had, unknowingly, retained the morality, principles, and purpose of people who do believe in God. But God is dead, so morality, principles, and purpose die with him. Because of their lack of understanding, the villagers simply stared at the madman in silence. This is the precise situation of contemporary secular culture. The explicit theology has been abandoned, the underlying moral architecture, the sense that suffering has meaning, that individual lives matter cosmically, that there is a direction to history and a foundation for values. That architecture is still being used, but the foundation it was built on has been removed. The building is still standing, but it is standing on nothing. And the specific experience of living in it, functional from the outside, hollow from the inside, is the experience Nietzsche was diagnosing. Rehook. Why this is happening to you right now. Look at the meaning structures that contemporary life offers as replacements for the void. Career. The accumulation of professional achievement as the primary answer to the question of what your life is for. You have watched people who achieved everything they aimed for and discovered the achievement answered nothing. Consumption. The constant acquisition of experience, of product, of distraction. The feed that is always available and never sufficient. The specific exhaustion of a person who has consumed more than any human being in history and still cannot locate the thing that would make the consumption feel complete. Social performance. The carefully maintained presentation of a self that is thriving, curated for the audience of your social life and your social media simultaneously. The specific loneliness of a person who is constantly visible and never genuinely seen. The madman questions whether humanity is capable of taking on the challenge of becoming gods to fill the void. These substitutes are not nothing, but they do not answer the questions that the old framework answered. They do not tell you why your suffering matters. They do not tell you what you are supposed to do with the fact that you will die. They do not tell you what is actually worth building a life around when you strip away the consensus about what successful lives look like. The void that Nietzsche identified is not the void of unbelievers. It is the void of everyone who is living without a genuine answer to the foundational question. What is this for? The nihilism he was warning about. Nihilism is the rejection of every highest moral and religious principle in life, a world and life without firm and eternal values and precepts. Some might argue this leads to the view of life as meaningless and without true moral values. The why starts to lack meaning. Nietzsche was not a nihilist. This is one of the most persistent misreadings of his work. He spent his entire career fighting nihilism, not as an opponent from the outside, but as a danger from the inside, as the specific destination that a civilization arrives at when it removes its meaning structure without replacing it. The nihilism he feared was not the dramatic nihilism of the person who announces that nothing matters. It was the quiet nihilism of the person who continues going through the motions without ever confronting the fact that the meaning has quietly departed. What Nietzsche is concerned about is that God is dead in the hearts and minds of his own generation of modern men, killed by an indifference that was itself directly related to a pronounced cultural shift away from faith and towards rationalism and science. The danger was not atheism. The danger was the indifference. The sleepwalking continuation of a civilization that had lost its foundation without noticing, because the outward form remained intact while the interior emptied. Nietzsche's proposed solution. Nietzsche did not end at the diagnosis. He proposed a direction, not a return to the old framework. He considered that impossible and dishonest. The intellectual developments that had undermined the old foundation could not be undone by choosing to believe them away. But not nihilism either. Not the resigned acceptance of meaninglessness as the final answer. His direction was what he called the revaluation of values. The deliberate, honest, demanding work of examining what you actually value. Not what you inherited, not what the consensus approves, not what the substitute meaning structures of career and consumption and social performance offer, but what genuinely, specifically, privately, constitutes a reason worth building a life around. This is not comfortable work. It is the specific discomfort of the person who has stopped pretending that the substitute is sufficient and has not yet found the genuine thing. But Nietzsche considered it the only honest direction available to a person who has understood what the madman was trying to say in the marketplace. Why this matters more now than in 1882. If the madman ran out into the marketplace today and declared God is dead, everyone would already acknowledge the truth of it. He saw how God would one day become irrelevant in the marketplace, which is a metaphor for the public sphere as well as the capitalist market. We now live in the secular age. Both religious and non-religious people live within this secular age. Nietzsche wrote in a Europe that was still largely religious in its outward form. The drift he was diagnosing was just beginning. The substitute meaning structures were not yet fully developed. We live in the destination he was pointing toward. The secular age is not approaching. It has arrived. The substitutes have been fully deployed and fully experienced, and the specific experience of their insufficiency, the specific hollowness of the comfortable, well-maintained, externally successful life that still somehow does not feel like enough, is the common experience of millions of people who have never read a word of Nietzsche and would not describe themselves as facing a philosophical problem. They are facing the problem the madman was describing. They have simply not yet heard the news, the question he leaves you with. The madman questions whether humanity is capable of taking on the challenge of becoming gods to fill the void. Nietzsche's question is not, do you believe in God? That question is a different conversation. His question is this: what is the genuine foundation of meaning in your actual life? Not the official answer. Not the version that performs well in conversation. The actual one. What are you building toward that would still seem worth building if you stripped away the external validation, the approval, the recognition, the comparison with others, and were left only with the work itself and the question of whether it genuinely matters? If the answer comes quickly and feels solid, you have something. You have found, through whatever path, a genuine foundation. If the answer hesitates, if you reach for the official version and feel its lightness, then the madman's alarm is relevant to you, not as a crisis, as a direction. The foundation can be built, but it cannot be built by continuing to lean on substitutes that have already demonstrated their insufficiency. That is what Nietzsche meant. Not a celebration, not an attack, a warning to people who were sleepwalking through the collapse, and an invitation to wake up before the ground disappeared entirely beneath them. If this gave you something useful, subscribe. Philosophy every week, no motivation, no fluff, just what actually holds up.